Welcome to another edition of Patriot Talk. Chris Level with the head coach of the Patriots, Joe Sexton. Colton Coons taking care of us as always. These shows this year are going to be brought to you by Gene Messer Ford / Lincoln. So thank you to those folks for being a part of all that we do with these shows, talking to our awesome coaches at LCISD. Best part of the off season is what?
The end.
Okay.
Because that means we're about to get closer to football.
Okay. Is there a worst part of the off season? It's just the waiting or the lack
No,
of...
I would say the worst part for me is after the season's over and you're always second guessing yourself. Gosh, I should have. I wish we would have. So just that first part of the off season is always the worst for me.
Yeah, just the finality.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially ours last season with all the 1-point games and the overtimes, and there's plenty of time in the off season to go back and watch all that film and just kick yourself for what we didn't do or what I should have done. And so I always like the end because when the end is near, the beginning is closer. So.
The end is near. You heard it here first. Okay. I always like it when the end is near. That sounds kind of morbid there a little bit. Yeah.
Oh, that just means something good's about
I
to
know.
happen.
I got you. I know what you meant. Is there, you mentioned that about, we talked about this some as you were living through it a little bit, but as you've, looked back on it with now many weeks and months removed from the end of the year, is there something to learning how to win? And is this something you've kind of talked to, does it, like your kids about, or like you with your staff, or like, there are things that you can control there?
Well, to me, it's just the biggest thing is going to be just that year of experience. And, there's just some things that you don't want to beat. You don't want to beat it like a dead horse. You just, look at it. We talked about it. We're going to move on. We're going to do better. And I really expect that year of experience is going to pay off for us.
It's scar tissue. And you hope that scar tissue is,
we're calloused.
Yeah, that's right. The thing about what you guys do is that there's always changes. Sometimes you graduate kids and all that. You didn't this year. We'll get to that in a second. However, there's always subtle adjustments to your staff. Guys move and get promoted or whatever. And take me through the continuity of your staff. And there's a few new pieces here.
Well, we're very lucky to have our core staff back. With Coach Tolliver and Coach Newton. Their leadership's been great. Coach Newton is he's our raw guy. He does a great job in the weight room, and Coach Quentin and Coach Gerber, those guys are all back. Coach Lynch, and we have some new ones. Coach Chris Marquez came over from Coronado, so we're very, very fortunate to have him. Alan Cardenas is with us also. He's going to help coach our safeties. And then we have a new baseball guy / football, Harrison Musgrave from the lovely state of West Virginia.
Country roads.
Country roads, yeah. Yeah, he doesn't really like that very much.
Oh, he doesn't? Okay.
No, he doesn't.
Okay,
so,
good to know.
But, we added those 3 guys, and really, we only lost Coach Gerber. The other Coach Gerber went back to shallow water. So we've really had our core group stay with us.
Do you have to spend much time trying to coach those guys with what you want, or is it they just kind of?
No, Coach Newton and Coach Tolliver take over all that, and as far as the X's and O's part, but we hired these guys. We came in and they came in and talked to us, and their personalities fit. That was huge for me, is to make sure that those personalities are going to mesh with what we have, and I think they have. Even Coach Musgrave, he drove 21 hours one day to get here, and came in and was like, all right, I'm ready to go to work. So,
well, that is a day.
It is a whole day.
He literally drove a day to get here.
So he's, when you drive halfway across the country and you don't know anybody, and that's some faith. So he was obviously hoping we would be good, and we were hoping he was going to be good, and I think it's been a good fit so far.
You know, there's plenty of jokes there that you just offered up. I'm just gonna, sometimes I don't think Colton Coons, our lovely producer, he would drive across the street from me. But it's good to know that Coach Musgrave drove 21 hours from a man, Joe Sexton. I like that. That's yeah. Faith is right. That's right. Goals for, I don't want to get into like your roster and all those things and just kind of where we've come now that you're into, what is this, third year outlaw schedule to year one of a full varsity schedule now in your year two, which but take me through the goals of your camp. Like what, when you at the onset of first day of practice, like what are you trying to accomplish in those first couple of weeks, which you're kind of in the midst of right now?
Right. Well, this is week 2 of what we've been doing, and I tell the kids all the time that our whole key is our offensive line, and just try to develop those. You know, as you know, we're not going to do anything without those guys. And just some people who have come to watch some of our practices have told me your offensive line looks amazing. So, and I talked to them yesterday, and we're only going to be as good as they are. You know, and I told them I don't want to add pressure to you. You can call it pressure, you can call it praise, whatever you want to call it. But that was the one thing that, especially Coach Newton, he wanted us to improve in that area, and I think we have. That was a big deal with me. You know, our skill kids are terrific, and last year, I think our offensive linemen and our defensive linemen learned a lot of really good things, and I think you're going to see the dividends being paid this year.
You know, better big people usually wins. When you have better big people than the opposition, and there's very few of those in the world that are athletic and all the things.
Well, we've got some good ones.
Okay, and you need them on both sides of the ball.
Right.
You know, yeah. This is the first time that you're now going to be able to say our senior class. You get a senior day. You get some guys that have been in your program now a third year, and there's legit seniors, which there's an upper class, a true upper class. All that. Have you felt the difference being out there that you've got some older kids that are in their last go round?
Yeah, you know, it's kind of bittersweet, I guess. You know, starting off with these guys, and you know they chose us to come to Liberty, and it's been great having those guys around because they had that choice, you know, whether they wanted to stay or whether they wanted to come to us. And now looking at them, you know, every day when we go out there and I see those seniors out there, you know, it's just gratitude that I have that they chose to come play football for us.
Have you, because overall, you, as you stack classes, do you have more kids out for the whole program?
Right.
Like, take me through how.
Well, you know, when we started off with 2 grades, and,
right?
You know, we just had those.
Y'all got any buddies? The rest of y'all somewhere? Is there a room that they're all locked in there? So we need to let them out.
So we started off with 83, and now we're right at 180. I believe. So
more than doubled.
Yeah. So it's been great. You know, our freshman class coming in, there's going to be about 55 of those kids, 55 to 60. Tomorrow, first day of school, there's going to be a lot that probably show up that they're going to want to play. So we could be around 65 freshmen starting tomorrow. And our junior class right now is probably our biggest class. They're right around 65 also. So it's been a good transition to see, and then our facility is completely put together.
I was going to get to that.
Yeah, well, I beat you to it.
Well, no, and that you're right, because last year you didn't get a home game until what, late
September 27th.
Yeah, late September.
But who's counting?
You remembered. You were. But you had to go on the road for the first month. Now you got a tent set up and a cot out there at Liberty Stadium, and you're good to go, man. I even saw you hauled in a popcorn machine out there by your little cot. I was impressed. But yeah, you're not planning on going anywhere for late August and September. But all seriousness, that's just the sign of growth and the sign of like where you've come from, and I'm sure that that's part of being calloused,
Right.
too.
Well, when our weight room came in
Oh, yeah.
October,
Okay.
that's been the biggest thing to me. We were talking about in the coach's office this morning about last year at this time we were dressing in a classroom, and so now when we're handing out equipment, we didn't have to haul it upstairs, haul it downstairs. It's all right there, and it was just so convenient.
Have an indoor as
Have
well.
an indoor
Yeah.
that we use every day. We have a practice field that we use every day. So every ounce of that facility we use, and it's well used.
Yeah, and it's nice. It's certainly nice. Last year you were, I think, intentional here. You scheduled Pampa and Bushland for your scrimmages.
Right.
You get typically everybody does one home, one away, which is what you've got here. You're hosting Pampa this week, and then you're going to Bushland the following week. Why those two? Like, I mean, does that give you a good look at what you'll see in district from a schematic standpoint, or just kind of take me through?
Well, at that time when we had them scheduled, it was the only ones we could get.
Well,
Beggars cannot be
completely
choosers.
transparent, folks. That's what we do right here on Patriot Talk.
We didn't have a whole lot of people knocking at the door.
It's all we've got.
And when you had one that really wanted to do it, I didn't turn anybody down.
Okay.
Because it was hard trying to set that first schedule because of the tradition that Lubbock Cooper has had. When you have Lubbock Cooper in your name, you get that stigma that, man, you've got all those big hosses and all the success that Coach Darden and Coach Cat have had down the road, and people are like, we don't want anything to do with that. And so when Pampa called and wanted a scrimmage, and Bushland called and wanted a scrimmage, I jumped on that in a hurry. It's kind of like anything else. Once you get one, other people call, but once we committed, that's who we were going to stay with.
Okay.
So, but turns out, Pampa's a great tradition. They have a great tradition up there. They're always tough, hard-nosed football players up there. And so that's really good for our first scrimmage to get somebody so we can figure out, all right, where we are and what we need to work on. And then Bushland, oh my gosh, they're good at everything. And so they're going to test us also down the road. And I think both of those the type of defense that they play is going to be great for our offensive line. They apply a lot of pressure to you. So we're going to see what they're going to do, see if we can hold up against it. And I think actually both of them turned out pretty well for us as far as what we need to get ready for.
As you on the cusp of playing these two scrimmages and everything like that, how much is still unsettled with your team from a roster, and not necessarily roster, but like certain position groups or certain guys? Because there's some guys that have been starters, and I think
Right.
they're probably going to,
I think the biggest thing for us this year is there's going to be more competition in a lot of areas.
because you got more people.
We have some really, really good sophomores that have joined the varsity this year that are going to vie for a lot of playing time. So there's probably right off the top of my head 4 or 5 positions that, there's going to be some competition where, we're going to have to put the best players on the field. And competition is good. If Chris Level thinks that there's nobody behind me pushing me, you don't push yourself near as much. And now we have that, and it's going to be good for us.
What year is this for you?
33.
33.
Now, I will say my brother hit 50 this year.
Okay.
50 years of coaching football.
You need to get him a plaque or something. I mean, seriously, that's quite.
I think he'd rather have probably a
state
pie,
championship
a pie
or
or a
something.
cookie
Okay.
or something.
Okay. Yeah.
He has
Food.
He has that sweet tooth. Like I do.
Yeah. What kind of pie?
Well, our dad used to say, "There's no bad pie."
Oh, and this is true. It's like pizza. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's hard to find like bad pizza. What's the best thing you did this summer?
Watched our kids get bigger in the weight
Oh,
room.
come on.
No, yeah, no
I'm
kidding.
talking about you. That has nothing to do with your job. What was something that you got to go do? You got to go see? You got to watch? I don't know. What was the best thing you did?
Well, our coaches take a little retreat up to Ruidoso.
Oh yeah.
And myself and Coach Quentin and Coach Gerber three-peated as the staff golf champions.
You're kind of a ringer. That's not really fair. Who was your competition?
The whole staff.
Okay, yeah.
The whole staff.
But you had teammates, you said?
Yeah, I think Coach Gerber has some T-shirts made that we haven't revealed yet.
I'm sure he did. I'm sure he did. Yeah, I know some other folks that want another crack at you on the old golf course.
Bring it.
Yeah, let's see here. So somebody's coming in from out of town and, hey, Coach, take me out, in town, show me a good time. Where would you take me?
Well, after Coach Musgrave drove his 21 hours to get here.
I'm sure he was had a lot of energy to be hitting the town at that
Well,
point.
I called him the next morning, and or actually I told him whenever you wake up, call me. And so he called me, and I went and picked him up, and we just took the tour of Lubbock, kind of showed him how Lubbock is laid out. And everything on our side of town, you got your numbers,
I would have loved
got
to
your
have been in
names.
the back seat here as you were trying to.
Well, I'm sure you would be that backseat driver that's giving me directions.
Yeah.
But the first place we went to eat was Caprock.
Okay.
Probably one of the best burgers in town.
Okay.
I've always enjoyed Caprock, so we went there and then gave him the chronological history of Lubbock Cooper. We took a tour of Cooper Middle School, Laura Bush, just kind of showed him around. So I would say one of the first things that we did was just hit Caprock.
33 years, and that's what it gets you. You get a tour of the city, and you get a little burger at Caprock, and you get there you go. Okay, well, it'll be you're at home. We were joking about it earlier, but you're at home for the first month,
Right.
So I'm not sure what order this is, but I know New Home is the first one, and then there's
Idalou,
Monahans, and Midland Greenwood in some order. Is that right? No, Midland
Seminole.
Greenwood's the road. Seminole, yeah, sorry. Anyway, but the first four, so it's going to be weird because I think there's a stretch where it's like 4 at home, 3 on the road. It was just kind of a goofy.
Yeah,
year.
those 3 in the middle are going to be some doozies.
Those are a couple of 2 or 3 hour trips.
You know what's funny? We talk about that, and we talk about our schedule, and most people are like, you go, wow, you got 4 games at home. But then everybody goes, oh, those 3 road games are going to be a killer.
Yeah.
But, after you play four games at home, it's not going to be a bad thing to get on the road a little bit. I made a joke last night at our parent meeting. If you wanted to travel on up to Canada from Perryton, it's just a couple more hours.
And I'm sure you got a bunch of crazy laughter with your joke there. At the parent meeting.
Well,
you tried.
I tried.
I appreciate it. Yeah, I appreciate it.
Tried to make the situation light.
Last question. It's a weird one. I asked Coach Darden on his show about this one. I'm not sure answer to. I heard Coach Saban ask this back in the early summer, and I wrote it down. Would you rather coach do you know who Eeyore is? Remember that character? Kind of like
Winnie the Pooh.
Exactly. Just kind of. Whatever. Would you rather coach a player that has irrational confidence, almost like, dude, like you're not, you can't do the things that you think you can, or you're not whatever, or would you rather coach an Eeyore type? I'm talking opposite ends of the spectrum.
Yeah, for me, I always enjoy the kids that fly under the radar just a little bit.
So Eeyore.
Yeah, so you could take, or it's really, you have a lot of satisfaction when you have somebody that's like that, and then they
kind of turn them.
And they transform into. We had a kid, 04, 05, who was similar to that. Then all of a sudden, between his junior and senior year, holy cow, the
light came on.
It came on, and turned out to be one of the better defensive players that I've ever had the opportunity to coach. And
okay.
He was a stud.
Okay.
But just nothing flashy. But then all of a sudden, holy cow, he turned it on. So
sometimes it does that. Is or for people in life or sports or whatever, it just kind of clicks one day.
Yeah, it does.
Everything slows down.
Like today, we saw some freshmen that they have figured out that it doesn't hurt to hit. And then they just kept doing it and doing it and doing it. So it was a good morning at practice because we saw some kids that light bulb came on.
Okay, that's good. Hopefully more of that against Pampa in your scrimmage on Friday night. Well, that'll do it for Coach Sexton, for myself, Colton Coons behind the camera. Well, this has been another edition of Patriot Talk, and we'll resume play here on this lovely show right before that opener versus New Home. So thank you again to Gene Messer Ford / Lincoln. We thank those folks for sponsoring these shows. We'll talk to you next time.